get absorbed in, and you are Sonic.
What's up, everybody? I'm Taylor Olmstead, and I want to welcome you back to No Repeat, a podcast where we pick 3 songs every week with no repeats and no do-overs to create a perfect playlist for every occasion life throws at you. Joining me are my co-hosts, Tyler Reed.
Whoa.
And Sean Evans.
Whoa.
Sean, since this challenge was your idea, why don't you explain it to our listeners at home?
So this week, I wanted to come up with 3 songs that made you say, whoa. In some form or respect, right? Whether it was like lyrically you were like, whoa, or whether you're listening to it and you're like, whoa, or whether you're like, whoa, like you could just say whoa, like it just had to make you say whoa. I just wanted to inspire the listeners to say, listen to our songs and go, whoa. Just think sometimes that's what's fun about listening to music is it takes you off guard, it takes you by surprise. And that's what I wanted to get at this week.
What I thought was difficult about this challenge was that almost immediately, any song that I would have considered for this, I think the whoa factor has disappeared in some way. In that what made it a surprise isn't a surprise anymore. Because if you listen to it and you enjoyed it, and you enjoy the surprise, you're probably going to listen to it again. So you almost become desensitized to the whoa factor. So it was very difficult for me to be like, what is a song that still surprises me or still does something for me?
I had a similar feeling. I was looking at mostly songs that kind of change midway through was the tactic that I went for, because that was kind of how Sean's song worked too, and so I figured I'd just kind of follow the leader there. But what I realized is like you become so accustomed to those shifts once you've listened to a song a few times, and you start to anticipate it, right? It's like Sean and I used to talk about the song Little Black Submarines by the Black Keys, where particularly after you've seen it performed live, like you can hear the click of the pedal when Dan Auerbach like flips over to the electric and like all the distortion comes in and the song gets really loud. But the first time you hear the song, you're just like, oh, this is a pretty little acoustic ballad. And then all of a sudden it gets loud out of nowhere. But once you know it's coming, like you can kind of feel the build happening and you can hear the click and you're like, oh, okay, I know what's about to happen. And so I really struggled this week. The other part that I struggled with was this pushed me into a lot of my like progressive rock that I used to listen to back in the day. And again, it's not like a written rule of this podcast, but we try not to pick songs that are over 5 minutes. And I just couldn't, in good conscience, pick like a 7.5 minute Pink Floyd song or like a big long track from the later years of The Who. Because like some of those songs have some really cool shifts and changes and unique things about them, but they're either too long or they're too embedded as part of like a concept album. And I felt like I just couldn't rip them out and stick them in a playlist.
Sure, and I would also say that I think the thing to consider is that we're indirectly trying to whoa each other, right? So, like, it's not only for us to say whoa, but it's to say, I want you to listen to the song and say whoa. And I feel like if this is, like, episode 1 of this podcast and, like, we hadn't known anything about each other's musical tastes, like, I could have just chose, like, a Cara Cara Bonito song, and you guys would be like, whoa, this is crazy. It's like she's like singing in American and in Japanese, and there's like a bunch of sampled like Nintendo sounds. Whoa, you're like that's so easy. I'm like I've tempered you all too much.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily think that's true.
That's the kind of vibe I was as I was kind of looking through. I was like, is this really gonna whoa them? I don't know.
And
because I felt like when for my song, every time I listen to it, I do remember the time where I went, whoa, that was really unexpected. I did not see that one coming. And it's like a happy surprise for me. Even though I know it's there, I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's right. This is pretty awesome. This really took me by surprise. And when I play it for other people, I'm like, they had the same reaction. Like, whoa. That is not what happened for 2.5 minutes up until this point in time.
And I thought about stuff like that too. I also thought about things that like the technical skill would make you go, whoa. Like, there's this new Logic track with Eminem on it. I don't know if you guys have heard it, but it's some of the fastest rapping I've heard in years. And it's, like, really, truly incredible. But I felt like it was a little too, like, it was for a different challenge. like I wanted this to be kind of a surprise woe instead of like a technical skill woe, especially coming off of the guitar solo challenge, because we just did a set of songs that are like highly technical. And so I kind of wanted to like do something a little more emotional, a little more touchy-feely this week. Thank you. I try.
You did it.
You sure did, buddy.
You sure did it.
I try.
Well, Taylor, maybe you should just go then. I guess so.
You want me to go first? I could do that.
Yeah, shoot for it.
All right. This week I picked New House by Rex Orange County.
I'm so good at falling asleep. Grateful for you waking me. If it weren't for you, I would have stayed here for weeks. And the bed is just upstairs, the only place I feel peace. There's nothing I forgot to do, nowhere that I'ma need to be. There's no one left for me to impress. How am I meant to know what's good when nothing good on the
So Rex Orange
screen
County
is
is a singer-songwriter from the UK. He's part of this movement that some people are calling bedroom pop or progressive pop. I tend to compare him to like Jack Antonoff's Bleachers project. It's very genre hopping, emotional pop music. Not quite like power pop or like pop punk, because it's much more on the poppier instrumental side, but it goes places and it changes genres mid-song, which I really enjoy. And I think Rex Orange County in particular is really good about building these songs with phases in the way that like a Pink Floyd might, right? Like it's a suite around a theme. So this particular song, New House, has this really great whoa moment where it feels like a piano ballad for the first minute. And then when the second verse comes in, it almost turns into a rap song. It's got this synth that kind of comes out of nowhere after a very organic piano. And he starts singing a little bit faster and putting a little bit of a rap element on it. And then you go straight out of that into just like this very quiet symphonic section with some woodwinds and a very soft sung chorus before it kind of builds back up for the grand finale. And every time I remember the first time I listened to this song, that second verse and that breakdown just really gripped me. And the song doesn't really have like a super catchy chorus, but it lodged itself in my head because of that symphonic section towards the middle where there's nothing else but him singing the chorus and those winds. Like he just builds this huge complex thing and then boils it down to its essence and then builds it back up. And I really like that about it. It's also just a really cute song about having a stressful life, but feeling at home in the relationship that you're in. And I really identify with that. It's cute and it's fun and it makes me go, whoa.
Okay, well, that's good. You answered my first question because after listening to this, I said, what is woe about this song? Because it was kind of underwhelming for me.
Really?
Yeah, like a lot. Emo hop is what I would call this song, and it's really underwhelming for me.
Sean, the genre agnostic, is like, hey man, I think you misgenred this.
Come at me, bro.
By the way, Under Oath is post-rock.
I just feel like it was a little too slow and moody, and I never listening to it. I listened to it about 3 times, and I was like, I'll get it this time. And I feel like I never got it. I never was like...
I struggled really hard because this is a mid-tempo song, and I wanted to pick one that is a fast rock song that turns into a slow piano ballad off of his last album. But I felt like this was the better compromise. I think maybe to appease you, I should have picked the more extreme example. I guess is what you're saying.
I mean,
because this is pretty middle of the road. Like, I'll agree with you. It's a mid-tempo ballad, basically.
I get what you're saying. It's like southern hip hop, you know, with the piano, and it's got like hip hop vocals, and I feel like it's not as much sung, but then it goes into like a nice synth beat, and his voice is, you know, kind of chorused out, and that's fine. But I'm not necessarily saying like I'm looking for this like craziness to go on or something where I'm like, whoa, like, and I know that's kind of what mine is, but I was looking for something I thought maybe lyrically in here it was going to have something that was like, whoa, but I felt like it was just average problems, and I didn't see what was whoa about it.
No, that's fair.
Is that what makes it whoa? Is that it's not crazy?
Well, I would say that the woe is the dynamic shifts. You would say that you expect the song to be a certain way based off the first minute. and then it shifts into something completely different. It's an abrupt change. And so I think the intent is that from the part 1 to part 2, you're like, okay, so he's feeling a certain way, then there's like, you're like, it's sort of like breaking through and he's saying, this is how I actually feel. And it's sort of like then transcend, and then like part 2 into part 3 kind of like melds into like the acceptance phase where he's kind of like, it's good, but it's also, it's bad. You know, the bad days are just days that are bad. You know, so it's like, it's not, I feel like I'm kind of course, in the middle here, unfortunately, where I'm like, I think when I was trying to look for the woe, I was in some ways let down, but I think if I had just listened to this song on like just through listening to the album, I would have thought this probably would be a high point of this album, because I think it is interesting. I think it does lead it does feel a little cheesy that it's like such like a sharp cut, like it's like a jump cut at that minute point. But I think kind of like once it smooths out after that, I think it's really good. So like I think the only part is just that I think the transition could be a little bit better. I don't think it was like enough of a hit between part 1 to part 2. But I mean, like,
I think that's fair. I think it could hit a little harder. But Tyler really captures my feelings about the woe on it. Like, the songwriting is really simplistic. I don't think anybody's gonna like laud Rex Orange County for his lyrics on any song, really. He's not really that kind of songwriter. But I like his ability to like capture such different moods in this song and then bring them together cohesively and like tie a neat little bow on it at the end.
It's like if the Wonder Years were like, I hate my parents, they're real bad. That's not what they sound like. But then suddenly they're like, hey everyone, you should call your mom. She really cares about you. She tried her best when you were growing up. It's like he was like, it's kind of like that. It's almost like an actualization kind of thing. He's like pointing to the audience almost. And I think that's kind of like, so I think that's kind of nice. Like I think for like, I haven't listened to a lot of Rex Orange County, but I feel like there's not a lot of dynamics there. Like I don't think he probably covers a pretty wide range of emotions if I had from what I recall.
Not really, no. It's kind of like love, stress.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
So it's like, like if you had never heard I Miss You before, and like Blink-182 came out with it, you're like, whoa, this is like a real big change for them.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like going from a 4 to a 6 here. It's not a 1 to a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I like this song, and that's what matters.
I can't wait for Sean to do his, because
let's just do it then. Let's just go into Sean's.
All right, Sean, come on, buddy.
All right. So this week for my song, I chose "Hot Car" by Being Dead. The reason I picked this song is because when it starts out, you get this really like reverberated surf rock revival song, and then about like 2.5, well then it like kind of speeds up a little bit, right? So you get a little bit like more surfy Beach Boys-esque, and then about 2 minutes in, for like 30 seconds, they just go into all out like screech rock and like screaming and wailing and like horror sounds and stuff, and then it just cuts and it's right back into surf rock again. And I remember when I heard this, I was like, oh, I like this beach rock revival. I did not expect this to happen. And after it now, it's one of my favorite parts of the whole song. I look forward to getting to this point because it just so offsets the rest of the song. It makes it so much more interesting than just having like a Beach Boys revival song.
So I want to take issue with a couple of things here. First, I don't think this is a surf rock revival, and I definitely don't think it's Beach Boys. If you like this sound, I feel like what you're actually hearing and liking is more like mid-60s, late 60s, like West Coast psychedelia, like Jefferson Airplane type of stuff. So if you want more things that sound like this, you should go listen to like Jefferson Airplane, Quicksilver Delivery Service, or Quicksilver Messenger Company, or whatever the name of that band is. What is the name of that other band? Big Brother and the Holding Company is another band that you should probably check out.
There's a really fun song that's kind of like this in the new Cara Cara Bonito album, which they really changed their sound.
And so when you get to the noise rock part in the bridge of this, like, on the one hand, it is definitely a whoa moment. It has a very, like, David Lynchy abrupt change to it, which I really, really like. It feels haunting and terrifying. But at the same time, it is the kind of thing that I feel like, were you to go to one of those acid rock shows in 1968, like, you would have heard. And that's not to say, like, this is bad. It's more to say, like, there is some historical precedent for this, and if you're interested in this, you should listen to that, because it's very similar. I like this a lot. Like, it's not...
Is it because you like your red car and you think it's hot? Because you live in Atlanta?
I do. My red car is hot because it's sitting out in the parking lot right now in the Atlanta heat. Take a ride in my hot car. It's this song is like, this song is that like 1968 energy. It's giving me that Haight-Ashbury vibe, which I really, really love. I haven't listened to that kind of music in years and years and years and years, like since I was in probably like a freshman, sophomore in high school. So yeah, I'm really digging this. I think it's a fun update on that tradition, and I can't wait to like actually dig deeper on this band because they seem super fun.
All I wanted to say was, I feel like someone who made this band, whoever the people, the artists involved in this, I can't imagine that they would have not only been influenced by everything Taylor said, but also just been like seen like a Nirvana concert or anyone that like smashes their guitar or like anything. They're like, you know what? We're just gonna, in the middle of a song, we're just gonna mess some stuff up. We're just gonna get real wet and wild, and we're just gonna just play whatever we want.
Oh, Sonic Youth. Yeah, it's a very Sonic Youth type of thing.
I mean, that being said, Sean's challenge was to make you say, well, I certainly would. I was like, hey, they got real upset about their guitars. And they said, you know what, maybe we don't need to play with our hands, maybe we're going to play with our teeth. And so, you know, and I'm like, I will probably listen to this band. It sounded great, was great. Mostly my complaint is that Sean was very critical of Taylor's song for something that's seemingly just like a small change in pace for like 30 seconds. And he's like, no, this is whoa. This is the whoa-est thing I've ever seen in my life. You had a whoa moment.
No, this isn't the lowest thing I've ever seen in my life. But what I'm saying is this is very whoa.
But you're like, Taylor's like, well, this guy is like, I love my house. Actually, I have a terrible relationship. And it's making me really upset. So I'm going to drastically change the tempo here. Don't worry, we're going to get to my song, and my song's not going to whoa you at all.
You're right. This song certainly has a whoa factor. Also, Tyler, can we agree this checks the box of something that is a Sean song?
Yeah. This falls into Sean mythology. It's
You're both Sean songs, you know that? Both of you, you're being Sean songs right now.
One of these days, we're going to come up with a definition of what a Sean song is, but this is definitely one.
If it's about the beach, it's about surf, it's about
cars,
hating yourself or others. You could either be ecstatic about that, or you could be apathetic about that.
Those are the only two emotions.
Yeah.
Today on Diving into Sean's Psyche, Taylor and Tyler. Right.
Dear Diary, today's mood, beachy.
I'm gonna make one of those little mood charts for like, and it's gonna have all different pictures of Sean, but it's only gonna have like 5 moods. It'll be like ecstatic, beach, cars,
2 people play guitars,
politics, 2 people playing guitars.
Can you make a Rude Pets Club character called Beachy?
Beachy could be a pet. I actually drew a cat in an inner tube today, so he could be Beachy.
Beachy, the apathetic guitar playing cat.
I like Beachy the whale. All right, well that just leaves Tyler. Tyler,
that's right.
You want to woe us?
Yeah, hey everyone. My song this week is Grouch by TRST. I tried to look up what that was pronounced as. They were previously known as Trust, so for here on out, we're just going to call it Trust.
This is kind of a sexy song for Tyler, don't you think?
All right, well, hold on. Let me say my piece first before we get to...
This has very, 4 a.m. gay bar vibes to me.
It
I'm okay with that.
It totally does.
So, this song kind of came across my feed either through a Discover Weekly or I think through the My Life as a Video Game playlist that I continuously talk about on the show. I think this is an example of kind of like a song that really grew on me. I think I heard the first time I was like, this vocal's real weird. Like, this is like a weird, sort of industrial, but also kind of upbeat, trancey kind of thing. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but for some reason or another, it just kind of kept popping up. I just kind of end up listening to it. And I was like, oh, this is actually real good. I actually really into this. And I guess maybe the woe factor for me is I kind of want to avoid, because of course mine was the last to put in because I've been really late the last few weeks. But I was like, I don't know, I just didn't have a song that really felt had a big transition. So it's this song just feels like it kind of meshes two different kind of feels together with a really weird vocal aesthetic. And it's just a weird song. It's a weird song. And as Taylor will tell us, it's apparently 4 a.m. at a gay bar, which would, when you say it out loud, it kind of feels like that.
Can I piggyback on your two different songs come together?
Go ahead.
It kind of feels like if Sweet Dreams and
yes,
some sort of Nine Inch Nails.
Ooh, that's tasty. I like that. Yeah.
Song came together. You know what I mean? It kind of has that industrial driven beat, and then and all in my head
But it literally uses the bass line from Sweet Dreams Are Made of This.
Oh yeah, totally.
Does it really?
It does. If you start it, you could sing Sweet Dreams right over the intro and no one would even know the difference.
Sweet dream now, Mary.
That's what I think. This is Tyler's Hot Pants song.
Oh no!
Got my tight pants on.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of Action Pants, which are distinctly different from Hot Pants.
I listened to this song while I was out on a walk today, and the wow didn't hit me. But then I listened to it again because I was like, I don't understand what Tyler's doing here. And I realized, I wasn't paying close enough attention because, I was walking, there was traffic. I was trying not to get hit by cars. But when I
as you do,
when I got home and just listened to it in my living room, I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting because that Sweet Dreams bass line is basically all you get on the verses. But then the chorus, you're right, is this kind of upbeat, 90s trance vibe. It feels almost like a Moby beat in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But Moby would never use vocals like this on anything ever. It's a weird Count Dracula vocal, which I kind of dig.
Which is my vibe.
Yeah, that's fair.
When you say that out loud, I'm I do love the Count.
There's a lot going on in this song, and I really like it. I don't know why. The woe didn't really hit me at first, but I think repeated listens have given me the sense that this is a song that could only exist in 2019. It's real weird.
Time for B-sides?
Yeah, unless you have anything else to say on that one.
No, I think I got it all out.
Got it out.
Good. Let's move on.
Just like Tyler on the dance floor to this song. All right. Sorry. That one landed like a rock. And now it's time for notable B-sides, and these were songs that were so close to making the playlist but didn't quite get there. Does anybody have some notable B-sides this week?
So my other Rex Orange County B-side was Television / So Far So Good, which, like I said, is like a fast guitar-driven song that turns into a piano ballad. I also had $3 Hat by The Dead Weather, Be Calm by Fun, Graze and Daily Routine by Animal Collective. And then the one that I almost picked, but I felt like it was a little too low energy, was Mr. Curiosity by Jason Mraz, which is a slow piano ballad where he operatically sings on the bridge. It's deeply, deeply impressive, and I'll link in the show notes to a YouTube video of him singing this song live. It does not look like these giant opera vocals should be able to come out of that tiny little man. It's really impressive.
Two of my songs are songs that we've already talked about on the podcast, and one of them is kind of a joke of this podcast, but that said, I think they all make me go, whoa. The first one is Millionaire by Queens of the Stone Age. I think when they first come in, and it's so hard hitting, that first time I heard that, I was like, whoa, that's really good. And we already talked about that, so that's there. And then the other one that's just, it's kind of the meme, is Bleed by Meshuggah. Because it's just so brutal. It just is such like a brutal song that it kind of takes me off guard, and it's like, wow. I think
What if you never heard Joker and a Thief before?
Yeah.
What
Okay.
if you never heard Wolfmother before and you're like, whoa.
Oh yeah, Woman. You could put Woman on here. That would do it. Because that's just, it's so like, as you can kind of tell, the pattern is, it always makes me go whoa when something just like drops. But I also, Taylor had picked 2018 Song of the Year as Childish Gambino, This Is America. And I remember the first time that I watched that music video, I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
The world said, whoa, Sean.
that was in the running for me if I hadn't used it.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That's I feel like this is like the first time where that actually might have been like a really high contender where I was like, that will do it. Like that song is really like, when you see it, you're like, whoa. When you hear it, you're like, whoa. But that said, Ivan, you're good. You're good for me this week. Everything's already on there, so you don't got to worry about it. Thank you.
This week, there's a real cavalcade of stars. All artists that I've probably talked about, wanted to talk about, but could never find an opportunity to. Those being Crying, Premonitory. Oh, God, I can't say words. Premonitionary Dream. Mitski's song, Why Didn't You Stop Me? Kate NV. Can't say any of those words because they're in Russian. And Who'd You Kill by Kishibashi.
Kishibashi would be a good pick for this too.
Kishibachi's a good one for this one. Didn't pick it though.
Tyler, if people want to learn more about Kishibashi or any of the artists that you just talked about, where can they find you?
God, someone said it a challenge so I can do a Mitski track. Come on, please. Anyway, you can find my design illustration work at rootpets.club, and of course you can find me on the socials as Rootpets Club on Instagram and Twitter.
Sean, if people want to learn more about Being Dead, where can they find that out from you? The band Being Dead, not the concept of death.
What was this supposed to? Okay. They can find me on Instagram at TellySean.
And if you listen to some Rex Orange County and get into it and want to stan him with me, you can follow me on the socials at TC Olmstead. If you have a situation that needs a soundtrack, send in some challenges to us on any social network as @NoRepeatPod, or email us norepeatpod@gmail.com. Getting a little low on challenges. We could use some new ones. And we'll be back next week with 3 more songs on another episode of No Repeat.